Great. Thank you, everybody. I hope audio is on point. As already said, my name is Petra Olah, and I'm here with Stefan.
Hello.
Today, as already said, we want to present our cooperation on the sustainable return management. But before we deep dive into this topic, and before you, Stefan, will also say more on why we are standing together on the stage here, let me give you a small introduction of what we mean when we say we want to turn waste into value. So, talking about waste, we actually mean the waste created by returns. And if you think about returns, then what you can say is that returns is actually a pretty big topic. And this has been confirmed as well by a study from the University of Bamberg. The University of Bamberg has a dedicated research group that did a study on 2021, finding out that every fourth parcel that is being purchased in online shopping will be returned. So if we say every fourth parcel, that means in total 530 million returns, which is already quite a big number, I'd say. And thinking about that in each parcel, there could be several articles, that would be 1.3 billion articles. Like, let this number sink a little bit, because we are only speaking about 2021, right? And this is mainly in fashion, so we can somehow relate on why this is so much. But to give you an even higher number, or like to relate to this, if we take the assumption that each of this article has a CO2 emission of 1.5 gram, this would result in 795 tons of CO2. And having present the actual climate situation, we realize that this is not really good. And taking this to another match, let's say this would be driven by car 5.3 billion kilometers. So you actually see big numbers only for 2021 and also only for Germany. So this means Germany is Europe's return champion. The question though is, shall we be proud of this? And what does this mean? So, and after all, on a consumer level, you can say, it is very easy to return, right? And of course, it has to do with attracting to purchase, but maybe it's even too easy. Also, it means that companies might struggle with this amount and that there is like no red strength regarding the solution of this problem. And on an overall global level, because we are not only talking about Germany here, we can see that this is a global challenge that actually requires attention and effective solutions. And this is where Buybay comes into the picture. We are a Dutch company having 8 years of experience in returns, and our mission is actually to reduce waste. And waste created by returns, not only meaning, let's say, trash, but also time, CO2 emission, ways of transport, work put into these returns. So that means all the resources that are actually connected to the return management. And to give you a better insight of how we do this, Stefan is with me today, because Contorion is one of our partners of Buybay, where we already do the sustainable return management. But Stefan, before we deep dive into this, do you want to say some words about Contorion and yourself?
Yeah, sure. So what does Contorion do? Contorion is an online store for professional craftsmen. And we have a clear B2B focus, and we combine an easy shopping experience for our customers with a really, really huge assortment that we are selling to our customers. We have around 500,000 SKUs online that we are selling. So this combines like power tools, hand tools, workshop equipment and stuff like that. And what we offer really, really good quality. We have a lot of A brands as well, like Festool, Makita, Vera, Viha, Stahlwelle. If you're a little bit into it, I think you know them. And what we also offer, we have like a professional support. So our sales department and also our customer service, there are some people working with a craftsman background to even give the customers tips and hints what they can do with the tools, and yeah, this is what we are doing.
Yeah, and to check what Contorion as an online shop obviously has returns and what to do about the mount returns we just spoken before. We started with the first personal recommendation, I think, the cooperation, and identified, let's say, 3 main challenges that at this point were present at Contorion, which would be 1, a full warehouse, then a complex product evaluation, as well as a low return of investment. Stefan, do you want to enlighten us a little bit what each of these challenges meant for you in Contorion?
Yeah, sure. So we grew a lot over the past years, and warehouse capacity was always a topic for us. So we always exceeded the capacities, and we wanted to find a way to get rid of our B quality and C quality goods, so the damaged returns, because they took some space in the warehouse, and unnecessary space that we even better want to store like A products that we are really making revenue with. And but also is quite specific for us that we, with our wide assortment, we also have a huge range of articles that we are having. So this also leads to the complex product evaluation that we are having, because as I already mentioned, we sell almost everything for craftsmen. So it's quite hard for us and also for our partner. We are working together with Fiege Logistics to really grade the returns in the end. It's quite a huge effort, and we look for a partner who maybe can help us with that. And there where Buybay comes into place. But I think Petra will say a little bit more about this later. And about the point low return on investment, we first started with wholesalers. So we sell all the products combined on a pallet for not so much return on invest, and because most of our products are still not really damaged. So sometimes they are not only used once or a little bit dirty and stuff like this. And we also saw the possibility that once we refurbish them, that we can make more money out of it. And this is also where Buybay comes into place.
Yeah. Maybe just the small question, working together with Fiege as a fulfiller, how does this, like, in your processes help you? Because what is interesting for us now is that in the cooperation, there's not only 2, there's not only Contorion and Buybay, but there's also a 3rd player, which would be Fiege. So on this process, what does it mean for you to work with a 3rd party also in regard to the returns?
As I already mentioned, the process behind the whole classification and grading of returns is quite complex, and we have a clear focus at Fiege of making efficient logistics and also affordable logistics with them. So our focus is more on the outbound of the products but not on the returns. We can say that the return rate at Contorion is not so high. So we only have about 3 percentage points of returns. So it's not so big a kind of a problem. So we are definitely focused on it. But that's why.
Yeah. But let's see. What can Buybay actually do for Contorion in this moment? And let me give you just a small overview of what this approach to support Contorion looks like. You see here now an arrow, which is sorting and grading and repair, if necessary, which we call the handling of returns. That means that we receive the returns in our own warehouse in Fiege. Fiege is very close to the Dutch-German border, very close to Kleve, if people from the Rhine area are here. And the second and very important part is the selling, which is pricing, the sale, and after sales. So let me deep dive into both of those scenarios. Let us start with point 1, the sorting. What does sorting mean here in this situation? What makes us very particular in how we handle returns is the fact that even before receiving the goods, we determine their destination market. What does that mean? We have 2 opportunities at Buybay. There's the Breezy Returns, which is our customer, or like B2C brand. So on, for example, eBay, we would sell as Breezy Returns. But we also have a B2B marketplace, which is our own auction place called Beluga. And from the very beginning, before even receiving the goods, we already determine on which marketplace a return will go. And you can imagine that this is done by different criteria. It can be size, it can be a price bucket, it can be the demand on the marketplaces, or even if they are coming in bulky, different sorts of packages. So this is what we do already in advance. And this is also why, for example, in cooperation with you, Contorion, or Stefan, we work with announcement. So in announcements, you already give us kind of indication on what the product will be like and what the information is. So let's look at Contorion in this particular case. So last year, it seems that we had like 13K of products being delivered, which is more than 14 trucks. You are already saying that, it's like only 3%, but how do you experience this process from your side? Does it help you? Would you rate even this step?
Yes, I think it's a good step that we already differentiate between B2C and B2B products, because we have also, as I already mentioned, like a huge assortment, and we also have some niche products which are not selling well to B2C customers, but we also have quite good products, so like power tools and stuff like this, where we also make a good recovery by selling it via marketplaces. So for us, it makes totally sense that we are separating the stuff for B2B and B2C markets. So B2B in this case means that we are selling it to another company on your side, right? And B2C directly to the customers. So for us, it makes completely sense to separate this as well to get a recovery in the end.
Yeah, exactly. And let's focus now on the B2C side. So not going into auctions, but rather selling the goods that were returned by a consumer back to a consumer. Before we do this, there has to be a grading. And we call grading, like what we mean by grading is to sell the product as is. So it says repair in this step as well, but we are not a refurbisher. We only repair if it's economically worth it. But in general, we really try to sell the product as is. Means, for example, here in this overview, you can see it can be a product in a perfect condition. It can be a product that only has a package damage, or it can be a product that is heavily used. And what we do at grading is actually, being supported by a software, determine the status and giving it a grade. You can, in German, maybe see it as a Schulnote, to afterwards also determine the worth of this product. And what is very important for us is to create new content in this situation. So when a product is used, you shall show that it's used. So therefore, we take new pictures and we create new content for the new customer to know what they are actually buying, because transparency in this moment is key, not to have our own returns. Having a look at Contorion again, I mean, what you can say is that over 50% has very, very little damage, which is a compliment maybe to your consumers returning.
Yeah, it is. It is. And this is already mentioned. So, so most of the products which are already a little bit damaged, we cannot sell them to the customers anymore because they're not that A grade anymore. The customer maybe will return it again, and therefore I think Buybay is a strong partner for us as well to sell it to the right customers, so the damage returns as well. Only if they only had like a small damages, so a huge advantage for us as well.
And I think what is crucial to see here as well is that when you look at the top categories, you can see that there's tool cases as well as a dust mask. And you can imagine that those two products are quite different. So therefore, our grading is also very much detailed on each product category. You would grade a dust mask different from a drill. You would grade a washing machine different from a coffee machine. So our grading is really focused on each product category in this sense. But let me show you this in a video, which I hope works out. Yes. So this is our warehouse in Fiege. And when returns arrive, for example, from Contorion to Buybay, they will be first welcomed, let's say, in our inbound hall, which is for sorting. So here, as I said, we're gonna, I already identify the destination market by counting them first, and these counted items are registered on the announcement from Contorion and already get an own license plate to have all the information needed from our side in our system. After the sorting, we have the software that will bring the return to our destination grading station, because as I said before, different products have to be graded differently. So we have expertise centers in our warehouse in which, for example, a washing machine, as I said, is differently routed than a tool case.
Yes.
So each of those stations are equipped to create the new content, as I've said. We obviously examine for functionality. And if we realize that there is actually a heavy usage or something the client should be aware of, we also highlight it with those little arrows so that it's clear that this was a used product before. In terms of data security, obviously everything that is a data carry will be wiped by us. So you are not running risk that there is some personal data left. And then it goes into stocking. Stocking means in this sense that we can now sell it again to a new consumer. And when this is done, the return leaves our warehouse again. And we also say that this whole process shall not take longer than 3 months. So we say within 90 days, we manage to sell a return, for example, a drill to a new consumer in the status as is. But what does this selling part look like in our video, like in our case? So as I said, when going on stock, this product is able to be sold again. And this means that it will be put online on several different marketplaces all over Europe. This is done by a software that we have developed. But obviously, the price of this product is very much depending on the status that it got, so on the grading, as well as the current marketplace's demand. So what we also created is a special price algorithm that scrapes the current market value and therefore adapts the price and therefore does the discounting so that in the end, Contorion still gets the best out of the return without reducing too much in the beginning. And our strongest partner in this context is bol.com. People of you really might know this big player in the Benelux, because bol.com is not only our biggest partner in terms of returns, but also in terms of the marketplaces, being very strong in this sense. From the general now to Contorion, you've already talked about recovery. So recovery is the new price that we could sell the return for compared to the original price. Means if your drill was €100 and we sell it for over a 50% recovery, that would mean that we would receive over, or like the new selling price was over €50. I think this is a little understatement because we are rather closer to the 60%.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, you having this result, how do you...
Actually, when we first started the cooperation, I was quite surprised how high prices we still could achieve also on bol.com, because it's also a different market. We just started our operations in the Netherlands last year, but sometimes we also were able to almost get 100% of recovery for our damaged goods on the market in the Netherlands as well. So I think it's also an advantage that you are selling in whole Europe and also getting the best price for us out of it, so that we can make the best recovery which is possible for the damaged products.
Yeah, and I think this is also the biggest difference, let's say, from us to a bulk buyer, because I guess to a bulk buyer you have one fixed price.
Yes.
And there might be super nicely still good status products and obviously heavily used products. And we have the opportunity at Buybay to really get the worth of each of the product and not give you just like the single price on it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
But how does this look like if we are speaking about several marketplaces? I mean, what you can see is that on each market prices on which we sell as Breezy Returns, our brand for consumers, we always state very clearly, for example, on Amazon, on Bol, here you can say eBay, that there is an Artikelzustand gebraucht, so status, for example, used or as new, hardly used, strongly used, to make transparency towards the consumer very clear. Because what we don't want, obviously, is to have returns ourselves. This is not excluded, unfortunately, but for us, transparency and clear communication is key towards our consumers. So this is the whole process, let's say. Now that we've presented you the whole process of how we deal with your returns, Stefan, what would you say is your biggest benefit with the cooperation of Buybay?
I think that we have a stable process in place already, so that we also in strong cooperation together with Fiege, that we at least at Fiege is already only exchanging with you directly, so that we are even don't have any contact at some points with this, that we are making a good recovery on the products, that the products are sold on good platforms, as to say, and not appearing somewhere else where we don't want to have them. And also, usually, also good as for us is that you are also taking handling also all the customer service for the products and stuff like this, so that we don't have to care about this anymore and only get the money back, as to say, in the end. So it's an easy process for us, and also sustainability, I think, is quite important in these days, and this also helps that we don't have to throw stuff away or sell it somewhere, so that we know that our products, the damaged products, are in good hands.
And if in the beginning we talked about the fact that you have a full warehouse and this was one of your challenges, do you feel that your challenges are being reduced with our cooperation?
They are. I think we reduced the area that we are using for returns to store the damaged returns heavily, I think by 80% or something like this. So this is now we can use the space for more valuable stuff for us.
Yeah. And obviously also for Buybay, the partnership is very, very valuable because with Contorion being so specialized on DIY and tools and the handcraft sector, we also learned a lot. So as you said in the beginning, there's also very niche products for the professional handcraft, let's say, audience, where we also gained a lot of more knowledge and therefore even enriched our portfolio because, let's say our main focus is very much on consumer electronics, but with Contorion and the cooperation, we actually could broaden our horizon and add some more expertise also on DIY and tools. What will bring the future for us? So what is nice is that we've been working now for quite a while, and what we want to do is to actually give all the information that you just received right now into another case study. So we'll publish a second version on which we actually tell how the further development of the cooperation was. A second milestone we want to achieve is actually to further improve the cooperation as well with Fiege, because as I said in the beginning here, it's very special for us to have a third player as well. So we can keep on trying new product categories and new marketplaces for them as well. And for the end of this year, actually, we are planning to implement our Buybay software that I've now mentioned several times for you with Fiege to actually share a little bit our knowledge. Maybe on the last two, what do you feel about, Stefan? I also know that there's a big interest from your side.
Yeah, it is. So the advantage that we see by implementing the Buybay software at Fiege is that we saving some costs in the end as well, because we don't have to ship the product from the Fiege warehouse to your warehouse, so that we can ship it directly to the customers, because the plan is that with the software that Buybay developed, that Fiege is guided through the process quite closely and is able to handle and do the grading by themselves, so that we can sell the stuff out of our warehouse, which is even more efficient for us, and also use your knowledge from the marketplaces or your pricing algorithm, so that we can do the fulfillment still on our side, which will be a nice next step for us, and also to get the recovery even more up for us. So, yeah.
Yeah, this would obviously save some costs on our side if you have the knowledge, or we can share the knowledge with you at Fiege.
Yes.
So thank you very much for the insights from Contorion, Stefan, because I actually want to pick up something that you just said before, but rather on the Buybay side. So as I mentioned all before, there's different softwares Buybay has developed and will share in the future, which are the several ones in terms of sales. So we once have a software called Apollo that is about the routing, as I said, having the different price buckets and sizes that we really differentiate which destination market to go to. We have Verdict, which is this whole grading software where our employees are guided through the whole grading process, depending on what product category it actually is. As I said, very, very different between a dust mask and a drill. Then there's obviously the whole sales software that we have, Flux for selling on several marketplaces and platforms at once, and Cassandra, which is this price algorithm I told you about, to adapting the prices and actually stay competitive and actually really stay attractive for consumers to buy secondhand. And the partner portal that we have currently is, for example, used by Contorion to actually always have an overview where the different products are at the moment and what the different results are as well. And this software shall help us on a broader horizon, actually, to build an ecosystem. Because the vision of Buybay is to build an ecosystem that facilitates the return management for the consumer, creating a world in which we have C2C. So we actually want to cooperate with different service providers in the field of returns. It shall be fulfillers, it shall be repair centers, it shall be manufacturers, where we create a digital environment in which the customer can actually give back the return without having to transport it to different places and therefore create CO2 emission. So this is really our belief that in the future with software, we shall make it happen that there will be a C2C return. And this is our vision, and this is actually our presentation right now. We are ready for more. How about you? Is there any questions we can answer?
Hi, thank you. I'm Chris from Wunschlösung, German software company. So thanks for sharing your insights first. You just mentioned the ecosystem you're about to build. Could you be a little bit precise? What do you want to achieve? Because I mean, ecosystems obviously is something else than just having one-on-one partnerships, but more about like enabling things which between two companies or something is basically not possible. So is there anything you can share at the moment already?
I have to admit that from an audio perspective, I'm not sure whether I understood everything, but to actually give it a more precise example, so what we want to create with this ecosystem means that while having cooperation already with transporters, with different, let's say, app providers even maybe, we can, for example, allow the customer who bought a product to maybe do the grading that we created the software for at home themselves, and maybe as an app to help the different steps that are actually necessary to resell a return again without being sent to the actual, let's say, company. This is our overall idea that if we in the background are already connected with each other via digital situation, via the fact that this is already registered by the other transport company or fulfiller, that we can make it happen that it is as easy as possible for the consumer to return their goods without creating so much CO2 emission. I hope this answers your question.